I started, sir.
Okay. Om Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tamhadevam Atmabuddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwarah Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Sarvalokanam Bhishaje Bhavaroginam Nidhaye Sarvavidyanam Sri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. So last class we stopped at 341 and we have to continue from 3 to 342. Yeah, sorry, not 242, 342. I'm trying to share my screen, but computer is extremely slow. Okay. No. Right. So I'm sharing my screen. Does anyone have a problem seeing my screen?
We can see the screen, sir.
Yeah.
Right.
From
Very good. Okay. Did someone raise their hand? I heard some sound. Did some hand go up? No.
No, there was a message in the chat
Aha.
um,
Okay.
from Gurudut, I think, that he's in
Yeah.
Frankfurt Airport.
What? Okay. What is the message? I'm not able to read it.
It says, I'm still in Frankfurt Airport as my flight got cancelled. Now waiting for an alternate flight, which is at 9 p.m.
Oh.
I request to attend mainly on listening mode.
Okay. Okay. Good luck.
Thanks, Vasudevanji. There's a lot of noise here, so I'll not
No, that's fine.
recite chant with you.
You're able to
Only
hear
for
me,
class.
right?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Great. So 342. Arudha Shaktehe
Arudha Shaktehe
Ahamo Vinashaha
Ahamo Vinashaha
Kartunna Shakyaha
Kartunna Shakyaha
Sahasapi Panditaihi
Sahasapi Panditaihi
Ye Nirvikalpakhya Samadhi Nischalaha.
Ye
Nirvikalpakhya
Samadhi Nischala
Nischalaha.
Nischalaha.
Yeah, it's one long word. I can't split it. Yeah. Ye Nirvikalpakhya Samadhi Nischalaha.
Ye Nirvikalpa Samadhi Nischalaha.
Tanantaran.
Tanantaran.
No. Tanantara Ananta Bhava. Okay. Tanantara. That's all. Tanantara Ananta Bhavahi Vasanaha.
Ananta Bhavahi Vasanaha.
Arudha Shakte Rahamo Vinashaha Kartum Shakya Sahasapi Panditaihi Ye Nirvikalpakhya Samadhi Nischalaha Tanantara Ananta Bhavahi Vasanaha. Okay, so this is something like an observation that Acharya is making. This is more to kind of glorify the Nirvikalpa Samadhi Abhyasa or Samadhi Abhyasa based Nididhyasanam that he is going to talk about in the following shloka. So he is kind of giving what we would call in the movie language as build up. Okay, so some kind of a glorification is giving. Arudha Shaktehe Ahamaha. So the word Ahamaha refers to the Ahankara Vasana, about which we saw a lot of shlokas until now. Arudha Shaktehe means, Arudha here refers to something that has grown very, very strong. Arudha Shaktehe means it's become very strong, fattened more or less. So he's talking about how generally the Ahankara gets fattened over several janmas. That's what he says. Ananta Bhavahi Vasanaha. That last line indicates the reason why the Ahankara got fattened. It is not just one janma phenomenon. This Ahankara has been fattened over so many janmas, so many millions of janmas. Vinashaha kartum na shakyaha. So it cannot be so easily destroyed. Vinashaha, okay, it cannot be taken as complete destruction. Like we have been saying in all these earlier shlokas, it has to be reduced to a bare minimum that it can function to the level needed to carry on with the transactions of the world, but it should not go beyond that minimum threshold. So that is vinasha. So you cannot completely get rid of ahankara. So it is about suppressing it or weakening it to the level possible. Yeah. Kartum na shakyaha, it is not possible. Sahasapi panditaihi. Sahasapi means not that easily. Sahasa really means in a hurry or quickly, swiftly. All that is sahasa. Panditaihi means one who has performed a lot of shravanam and mananam. Pandita is a wise person. But since Acharya wants to say that Nididhyasanam is extremely important, so we must interpret Pandita not as a Brahmanistha person, but as someone who has very good Shravanam and Mananam behind him, but still he is struggling with the Ahankara problem. That is how we have to understand the first two lines. Okay. Ye nirvikalpakhya samadhi nischalaha tanantaraha. So the third line and the first half of fourth line says only those who have mastered the practice of nirvikalpa samadhi as a form of nididhyasanam, only they are able to overcome this ahankara. That is the meaning of that part. Nirvikalpakhya samadhi nischalaha. So nischalaha means they are very firmly grounded in the abhyasa, nididhyasana abhyasa, using nirvikalpa samadhi. Only they can overcome the ahankara. Others cannot. And why is that so? Ananta bhavahi vasanaha. Because this ahankara has been nurtured and nourished over so many millions of janmas that it is not something that is going to go away easily. So only those who have equipped themselves with the nididhyasanam, the powerful nididhyasanam that is accomplished through the nirvikalpa samadhi route, only those people can overcome the ahankara. So it is sort of a glorification of nirvikalpa samadhi based nididhyasanam, and you will see in the later shlokas why that is the case and why you have to perform this nirvikalpa samadhi and what is the method. All that we will come later. But this is more like a pratigya vakyam. In pratigya vakyam in shastras is making a statement, making an assertion, which will then later be justified using lot of logical reasoning. That is pratigya vakyam. So this is more like a pratigya vakyam. Okay, and the following shlokas will systematically explain why this is the case. Okay, any questions? Can we move on? Next shloka.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Aham buddhyaiva mohinya.
Aham buddhyaiva mohinya
Yeah.
Yojayitva
yoyayitva
avriter balat.
avrite balat.
Avriter, that r has to be heard.
Okay, sir.
Avriter balat.
Avrite balat
vikshepashaktihi
विक्षेपशक्तिः
purusham vikshepayati
पुरुषं विक्षेपयति
vikshepayati
विक्षेपयति
tadgunaihi
तद्गुणैः
aham buddhyaiva mohinya yojayitva vriterbalaat vikshepashaktihi purusham vikshepayati tadgunaihi. Okay, so here the Acharya is bringing back to our attention something that he had already talked about in the earlier part of Viveka Chudamani, which we have not actually covered. You know, the Viveka Chudamani portion that we started looking at is from 353. That means from shloka number 1 to 352, not 352, sorry, 252. We started looking at it from 253. From shloka number 1 to 252, the Acharya had explained a whole lot of things which we covered in a different way in our earlier sessions. Okay, and I'm not sure if I talked about it. I'm sure I would have said somewhere that Maya has two major, shall we say, powers. One is called Avarana Shakti and the other is called Vikshepa Shakti. Does anyone in the group remember whether you heard these two words?
Yes,
Or
yes,
am I
we
talking
have
about it for the very first time?
I think
you have
we
covered this.
Yeah.
I think
Okay, so
we started with the shloka 266.
not really. We started with 253. We started with 253 because that is where the Nididhyasanam portion really begins. Okay, 266 is a little late. I'll recollect the shloka. I'll go back to 253 and tell you which shloka I'm talking about. Okay, so I remember 253 because it's a milestone shloka. 253 or
I think we
Shadhirurmidhir
started.
Ayogi.
Yeah, I think we did those 9 or 10 or so shlokas, which
Yeah,
I
that
don't
Brahma
remember them,
Tattvamasi
describe
Bhavayatmani, no?
Brahman. Yeah, which describe Brahman.
Correct.
Yes.
So that is where it starts. So through 254 maybe, maybe 253 is wrong. 254. Jati Niti Kula Gotra Duragam. I think that's where we started. 254. Anyway.
I think
so,
we started with 266.
Brahma Tattvamasi Bhavayatmani is, I think, where I started anyway. So you can go back to the recordings and check whether 254 was the right one or 266. But Jati Niti Kula Gotra Duragam is, I think, what we started with. Anyway, that's not the whole point. The point is before between 1 and 253 or 1 and 254, the Acharya did cover a lot of fundamentals, which elaborates on what is the Shariratrayam, Panchakosham, all that. Okay, and then what is Shravanam, what is Mananam, what is Nididhyasanam, all those things we covered in a different way. We did not follow the Viveka Chudamani route, but we kind of summarized Tattva Bodha and we took a different route. Okay, so the point to understand is Maya has two major powers. One is Avarana Shakti, the other is Vikshepa Shakti. What is Avarana Shakti? Avarana Shakti is the power to
Cover.
cover. Avaranam really means to cover, and it covers the reality. It prevents you from understanding or perceiving the real truth. And Vikshepa Shakti is the ability to project something which is untrue. So we use the example of that rope snake very often. So in the rope snake, what is there on the ground? Whatever is on the ground is really a rope. but then it is semi-dark. So somebody walking along that path looks at it, he knows that something is there, but that what exactly that something is covered. So that covering of the reality of the rope is the Avarana Shakti. And then, because it looks like a snake, he kind of imagines or projects a snake onto that rope. That is out of Vikshepa Shakti. So this is the example we give to make you understand what exactly is Avarana Shakti and what exactly is Vikshepa Shakti. So you can have multiple examples. So we say shell silver. So there is a piece of shell lying down on the sands in the beach, and from a distance, because of the sunlight, it shines. So in that context, the Avarana Shakti hides the fact that it is really a piece of shell, and the Vikshepa Shakti then creates an imagined silver coin, and the silver coin is imposed on that shell. That is Vikshepa Shakti. So there are so many such examples. So in the real world, what happens? In the real world means in the transactional world, we perceive the world which is caused by the Vikshepa Shakti, because the Avarana Shakti hides from our perception the fact that this is really Brahman. So what is really Brahman is hidden, and on top of that real Brahman, an unreal or semi-real world is projected. Okay, so in the real context of Vedanta, this is how Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti are acting. Is this complicated or is it okay to understand?
This
Good
is
to understand.
it's okay.
Yeah, so what the Acharya wants to say is, Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti, they work as a team. They work as a team, and Vikshepa Shakti receives its strength from Avarana Shakti, and Vikshepa Shakti cannot be completely defeated on its own. So before you start attacking the Vikshepa Shakti, you have to address the Avarana Shakti, attack it and destroy it. Because the Avarana Shakti can be destroyed, whereas Vikshepa Shakti cannot be completely destroyed. Which is why I said in some other context that even for a jnani, the perception of the world will continue to go on. Just because a person has become a jnani or jnana nishtha does not mean that suddenly he will stop seeing the world and start seeing only everything as a blank. No. Even for a jnani, the perception of the transactional world will continue. That means the Vikshepa Shakti will continue to operate. But then, in and through that perception of the transactional world, the jnani will understand that this is all an illusion, and really speaking, this is just a reflection of Brahman. That's because the Avarana Shakti has been completely removed. And how do you remove Avarana Shakti? By going through Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. That is how the Acharya is bringing the whole concept. It's a technical analysis. It is still the same process. You have to go through Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. But here the Acharya is bringing a kind of a technical view to the whole thing and telling us that, look, if you are still disturbed by happenings in the world, that is because your ahankara is still not subserved, it is made subservient totally. And that could be because it is still receiving some strength from the Avarana Shakti, which is not completely destroyed because the Shravanam and Mananam has not been properly done. He is bringing the whole argument there. And as a result of that, what he is going to do is, in the next few shlokas, he is going to go back to Shravanam and Mananam. He is going to explain what is Shravanam, what is Mananam, how one has to do Shravanam and Mananam and all that. So it is more like a revision of Shravanam and Mananam for a short stretch of shloka. So he's kind of laying the foundation for that stretch here. So he's saying, Aham buddhyaiva mohinya yojayitva avriter balat purusham vikshepayati. So Mohini, the word Mohini means that which can cause a lot of delusion, that which can cause a lot of illusions or confusions. Okay. So Aham buddhya eva. Aham buddhi is ahankara. And that ahankara is capable of, no, sorry. Aham buddhya here means with the ahankara, not aham buddhya by the ahankara, with the ahankara. So what happens is, Maya has these two qualities, Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti. That Avarana Shakti here is referred as the Mohini Shakti, and that Mohini Shakti is capable of connecting the Ahankara with the Vikshepa Shakti, and through that connection or through that association, it distracts the individual. Purusham Vikshepayati means the individual gets distracted away from the teaching. Tad gunaihi here means through that Mohini nature. So the formulation is a little roundabout. Okay, I'll stop here. I'll ask if there are any doubts, questions. Should I clarify more? The basic idea is Avarana Shakti is here referred as Mohini. That connects the Ahankara with the Vikshepa Shakti and thereby confuses the individual and thereby distracts the person from the teaching. That's all. Any questions?
Sir, just one. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I will go second, sir.
Okay. Please.
Vikshepa Shakti or Vikshepa, the word Vikshepa means to project something which is not really true, and what? And also Mohini?
See, Vikshepa Shakti is used in two different senses of the word.
Yes, exactly.
Maya can project a non-real world.
Yes.
Or a non-real perception. That is Vikshepa Shakti.
Yes. And the second?
And in the verbal form, it is distracting the individual. So when the mind is extroverted.
Okay.
When the mind is extroverted, it is called Vikshepanam.
Okay.
Okay. And the Mohini is the reference to the Avarana Shakti. Because in order to perceive something which is unreal, you must first be prevented from perceiving the real.
Yes.
Because you cannot look at the rope and see the rope and the snake at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, you either see the rope or you see the snake. You can't see both at the same time. Okay. So if you have to see the snake, it means that the rope has been hidden.
Yeah.
Does it make it clear?
Can one call that Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti are the two sides of the same coin?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
And so one derives the strength from the other. And one can be destroyed, the other cannot be completely destroyed. That's the meaning.
Yeah.
So Avarana Shakti is possible to be completely eliminated. And that is achieved through the Shravanam and Mananam. Yeah. But even after the Avarana Shakti is completely destroyed, Vikshepa Shakti will still operate at a very weak and minimum level. That cannot be eliminated totally until the person leaves the body. So
Okay.
as long as the body is there and the body mind is still around, this Vikshepa Shakti will continue to give some kind of a worldly perception. I think I told in another context that for the Jnani, the world continues as a dream. Okay. And in the real dream, or rather in the normal dream, once you wake up, the dream is over. Okay. In the normal dream, once you wake up from sleep, you cannot dream anymore. You are awake and you cannot dream anymore. But in the case of the spiritual awakening, you are awakened but continue to see the dream. It is like waking
Yeah.
up and continue to dream, or other way,
Yeah.
you dream knowing that it is a dream. You are dreaming and aware of the fact that it is dreaming. Normally when you are dreaming, you are not aware of it is a dream. Am I right? When you are normally
Yes.
dreaming, you don't know it's a dream. Only when you wake up, you know it's a dream. Is that clear?
Yes.
Or are there any residual questions? Can Subhashini go with her question? Or did you lose me? Did my voice go?
No, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So Subhashini ma'am, you wanted to ask something.
It got cleared when you started explaining that Vikshepa will still remain as the body mind complex is still around. So that was the question. So because you in the beginning you explained Avarana is built over Vikshepa, Avarana can completely be eliminated because of Shravana, Mananam and Nididhyasanam.
Yes.
And then you said Vikshepa will remain. So
Correct.
there I was hanging. Oh, what will happen? why it is remaining? But now when you just explained, now I got because of the presence of body mind complex that it will
Correct.
still remain.
Correct.
And when this is gone, that is also gone.
Correct. So Vikshepa Shakti will continue as long as the person is in the body. So once the Janma is over, Vikshepa Shakti is also gone.
Right. So for the person who has identified that this false ahankara because Vikshepa is there, that Avarana is not there. So the Jnani will identify that it is there and he knows how to deal with it. Am I right, sir?
Yeah. So it is like, what finally it means is, once your Avarana Shakti is completely eliminated, you understand that this world actually has no reality. So you don't get swayed greatly by whatever happens around you. You don't react violently, you don't react in an extreme emotion, and you don't care much about if something happens good or bad. Okay, so that's a kind of a detached aloofness one develops.
Right.
Okay. Right. And to what extent that detached aloofness can go depends on the level of shall we say level of nididhyasanam and level of maturity one gets. Okay? So people may ask, oh, what happens if you meet with an accident or whatever? Yeah. So those are extreme situations, so let's not go there. But generally, if you analyze how we react to situations in our day-to-day life, we tend to react with extreme emotions for small things.
Right.
Yeah, maybe in the sambar some salt is missing or some extra salt has come.
Right.
And then one flies off the handle. Oh, there's so much salt or no salt or whatever. No.
Sure.
Or
Sure.
if the tea has been served without sugar, let's say, small example. Somebody is given coffee or tea without sugar, and then this person flares up, oh, what is this? No sugar.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Those small things will not upset somebody. And even big things. There is a story, apparently, there was a Greek philosopher who was also a very rich merchant. And in those days, merchants would do all their trade with the ships. all their goods will go in ships, and so ship navigating the ship is a very important thing, and many rich people will have fleets of ships. Okay, they'll have several ships. Okay, so apparently this Greek philosopher was sitting somewhere and talking to somebody, and then the news came to him that his ship has sunk in the sea. So that means a lot of wealth is gone. Okay, so for a normal person that would be a disastrous thing. So apparently, this person said, "What?" And then very next moment he said, "So what?" This is a story. So that is the level of maturity one develops, that even when the whole ship is lost and the ship full of wealth is gone, this fellow said, "What?" And within 1 second he changed it to "So what?" That is given as an example to show how you can absorb some disastrous events and still be very casual about it.
Balanced. Right, sir. Right.
That's the idea.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so bottom line is, a jnani who has mastered this nididhyasanam technique will not give too much importance to happenings around the normal day-to-day life.
Right.
That is the whole idea. Okay,
Right. Sir. Thank you, sir.
so can we move on? Anybody else with questions? Yeah, okay. Vikshepa shakti vijayo
Vikshepa Shakti Vijayo
vishamo vidhatum
Vishamo Vidhatum
nishesham
Vishesham
Vishesham
avarana shakti nivritti abhave.
Avarana Shakti Nivritti Abhave.
Bhave.
Yeah, nivritti abhave is there. I'm splitting it and saying nivritti abhave. That's all. Yeah. Then drishyayoho
Drishyayoho
puta payojalavat
Sputapayojalavat
vibhage
Vibhage
nashyet
Nashyet
tadavaranam
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 atmani cha
Atmani cha
Atmanicha
swabhavat.
Svabhavat.
Vikshepa shakti vijayo vishamo vidhatum nishesham avarana shakti nivritti abhave दृग्दृश्ययोः स्फुटपयोजलवत् विभागे नश्येत् तदावरणमात्मनि च स्वभावात्. Okay, so vikshepa shakti vijayah, that means victory. Vijayah is victory over vikshepa shakti. So conquering vikshepa shakti, vidhatum vishamaha. Vishamaha means a great challenge, very difficult task. Vidhatum has to be connected to Vijayaha. Vijayo Vidhatum means to secure that victory. So to score a victory on Vikshepa Shakti is an extremely difficult task when Nishesham Avarana Shakti Nivritti Abhave. So Nivritti means removal or elimination. Abhave means in the absence of. So it's a double negative. So if you are unable to completely remove the Avarana Shakti, so Nishesham means without even a small bit sticking to it. We say not even an iota of something. So that iota is here is Nishesham. Not even a small bit of Avarana Shakti should be around. So if you are unable to remove Avarana Shakti completely, that is the second line. Vikshepa Shakti Vijayo Vidhatum Vishamaha. Securing the victory over the Vikshepa Shakti is impossible. Which is what even the previous shloka had said. The same idea is being said here, but in the third and fourth line, the Acharya is now defining Shravanam and Mananam all over again. So this is the transition part from the glorification of Nididhyasanam to stepping back into Shravanam and Mananam discussion. So how do you do Shravanam and Mananam? Drisyayoho vibhage. Vibhagam means to differentiate, to classify and separate. What do you separate? Drishyayoho. Drik means the observer, the perceiver, and drishyam is the object of perception. Okay, and I think this is something we already discussed in the very, very early sessions, that what you can objectify is not you. I think this portion is clear, right? So
Yes.
if you are able to perceive something as an object, that object is not you. Correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you see a car, you are not the car. You see a tree, you are not the tree. So when it comes to the external world, we are very clear. I'm not the car, I'm not the building, I'm not the tree. We are very clear about the external world. Where does the problem come? The problem comes when it comes to your own body-mind complex. When it comes to our own body-mind complex, we are not able to understand that this body is also an object. That you are able to see your body must tell us that we are not the body. Once you are very clear about Drikdrishya Viveka, it must be obvious that what you can perceive is not the self. And in Sanskrit, the self is Atma. Atma means the self, all capital. THE capital, SELF capital. The self, the true self cannot be objectified. So you are able to objectify your body. So your body is not your self. And in the dream, you are able to objectify your mind also. Because what is a dream? A dream is nothing but a thought. The dream is a creation of your thought. So if you are able to watch your dream, that means you are watching your thought. And that means you can objectify your mind. So your mind is also not you. And in the deep sleep state, you are even able to experience that blankness, darkness, which is your Karana Shariram. So you are not even your Karana Shariram. So all this must be very clearly understood by the person, but because of the very close proximity of our body-mind complex, we are not able to accept it, that we are not the body-mind complex. That is what takes all the time. Okay, it's, my Guruji gives this example. Let's say somebody is wearing spectacles. Yeah. If that spectacle is removed and kept on the table, then you know that that spectacle is not part of you. But let's say somebody is wearing that spectacle and absent-mindedly searching for the spectacles. Yeah. So why does it happen? Because the spectacle is now part of your body, but you have not realized that you are already wearing it and you are searching for it. It's a little like that. So, and forget spectacles. Let's say somebody is wearing contact lenses. So even though the contact lens is an external object which is fitted into your body, for all practical purposes, you consider the contact lens as part of your body. Yeah. So the closer it comes to you, the more difficult it is for you to realize that it is not yourself. Is that message clear where I am coming?
Yes.
Clear, sir.
Yeah. So this Nishesham, sorry, I am on the third line. Drik drishyayoho sputa payojalavat vibhage. Payojalavat means just like, you can look at water and milk and say this is water and this is milk. There is no confusion. Like that, one should be able to say this is not myself and something else is myself. So that level of clarity one should have in that Drik Drishya Viveka. This whole thing is called Drik Drishya Viveka. Drik means the Sakshi, the one who is perceiving, that is Drik. And Drishyam is the perceived object. Okay. So, fourth line. Nashyet tad avaranam atmanicha swabhavat. So, if you manage to acquire that Drik Drishya Vivekam mentioned in the third line, the benefit of that is what the fourth line talks about. Your avarana shakti completely is wiped away. Nashyet, it is completely destroyed. And how? Swabhavat, naturally, on its own. It doesn't take any effort after that. It's a natural consequence. Once you are clear that I am not my mind, I am not my body, and so on, that Trik Drishya Viveka has completely set in your mind, then that Avarana Shakti is completely destroyed. On its own, it gets destroyed. That is the shloka. And I think I missed two lines which come after that. We didn't read it. Let's read the remaining two lines. It's actually a shloka with 6 lines. Okay. Nissamshayena bhavati
Nishamshayena bhavati
pratibandhashunyah
प्रतिबन्धशून्यः
vikshepanam nahi tada
vikshepanam nahi tada
yadi chen mrisharthe.
yadi
चेन्मृषार्थे
Nissamshayena bhavati pratibandhashunyo vikshepanam nahi tada yadi chen mrisharthe. So let me read the complete shloka once again. Vikshepa shakti vijayo vishamo vidhatum nishesham avarana shakti nivritya bhave drik drishyayoho sputa payojalavat vibhage nashyet tad avaranam atmanicha swabhavat nissamshayena bhavati pratibandhashunyo vikshepanam nahi tada yadi chen mrisharthe. So what is the fifth and sixth line? Nissamshayena bhavati pratibandhashunyaha vikshepanam nahi tada yadi chen mrisharthe. So nissamshayena means without any doubt. Okay. Pratibandhashunyaha means without any obstruction, without any obstacle. Vikshepanam nahi tada. There is no more vikshepanam, or there is minimum vikshepanam. Vikshepanam means to be swayed by the activities going on in the world. Distraction, extrovertedness, emotional, shall we say, emotional reactions to happenings, all that is vikshepanam. Nahi tada yadi chen mrisharthe. Mrisha means mithya. Mithya means illusion. Something that is not real, that is mrisha. So the whole world becomes mrisha. One realizes that the whole world is nothing but an illusion, and therefore the person does not attach much importance to whatever happens around. That is the complete shloka 344. Okay. Any questions? Can we move on to 345?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Samyak vivekah
Samyak vivekah
विवेकः
sphuta bodhajanyo
bodhajanyo
vibhajya
vibhajya
भज्य
drishya padartha tattvam
drikdishya padartha
पदार्थतत्त्वम्
chinatti mayakrita mohabandham
छिनत्ति
मायाकृतं
मायाकृतमोहबन्धम्
yasmad vimuktastu
Yasmat
Yasmat
vimuktastu
vimuktastu
punar na samsritihi.
punarna
punarna
samskriti.
samskritihi.
Samsritihi. Okay. Samyak
Samskriti.
vivekah sputa bodhajanyo vibhajya drigdrishya padartha tattvam chinatti mayagrita mohabandham yasmad vimuktastu punarna samsritihi. So pretty much the same idea, being a little more elaborate in a different language. Repetition is considered a defect in Shastram generally, but when it comes to Vedantic teachings, repetition is allowed because the subject matter is very complicated and very sophisticated. So one has to repeat the same thing several times in order for the teaching to enter the head. So that is the reason the repetition happens in all these kind of Vedantic texts. Yeah. So drig drishyayoho, no, that is over. Samyak vivekah puta bodhajanyah. Samyak vivekah, that drig drishya vivekam is the result of puta bodham. Puta bodham means clear knowledge. Bodham is knowledge. Putam means clear. So what is this clear knowledge? This clear knowledge is a reference to the Vedantic teachings, where we are taught Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, all those things. My true nature is consciousness, and consciousness is not part, product, or property of the body. You must remember those 5 principles I said in the very, very early classes. Consciousness is not a part, product, or property of the body. Consciousness pervades and enlivens the body. Consciousness is not limited to the boundaries of the body. Consciousness continues to exist even after the fall of the body. That consciousness which continues to exist after the fall of the body is not available for transaction, not because it does not exist, but because it lacks a medium to transact with. I hope you have all made some notes somewhere and kept it somewhere. Please go back to your notes and refer to these 5 keystone, cornerstone principles. That is your Puta Bodha Janyaha. And whatever I said is a extract or abstract of the complete Vedantic teachings. Aham Brahmasmi, that Aham Brahmasmi, one word, one sentence, is explained in these 5 points. Okay. So, Samyak Vivekah Sputa Bodha Janya. So, once you have done proper Shravanam and Mananam, that Sputa Bodha Janya is a reference to Shravanam and Mananam. It results in Samyak Vivekah. It results in complete discrimination, Atma Anatma Viveka. Viveka is always, mentioned in tandem with Atma Anatma Viveka. What is real discrimination? To know what is the true self and what is non-self. That is Sputa Bodha Janyaha, that is Samyak Vivekaha. Then Vibhajya Drigdrishya Padartha Tattvam. So Vibhajya means to again split, to divide, to classify. What? Drik and Drishyam. Drik, perceiver or observer. Drishyam, perceived or observed. Padartha Tattvam. Padartha Tattvam really means the reality. So that Padartha Tattvam, that Tattvam should actually go with Drig, because Drik is the real truth. So Drik Drishya Padartha Tattvam. So you have to say all this is object, I am the subject, I am not this. So Aham Brahmasmi. That is Drik Drishya Padartha Tattvam. Hinatti Mayakrita Moha Bandham. So if this clarity is there in the mind, then that bondage, bandham means bondage. The bondage that one has with all the external entities, that is broken. Chinati means to cut. This Viveka is then able to cut through all the bondages, emotional connections and all that, which is a product of Maya. And Maya here should be understood as Ajnanam, ignorance. Because you have got the bodham, you have got the knowledge, so your ignorance is completely removed. And that removal of that ignorance is also the removal of your Avarana Shakti. They are all going together. Avarana Shakti is nothing but ignorance, effect of ignorance. So Maya Krita Moha Bandham, because of ignorance, we have been attached to all those external things, which are all through the body mind. And that bandham or that bondage is now broken. Yasmat vimuktaha, and then you become liberated. This process leads one to liberation. Punarna samsritihi, and once you are liberated, you are not born once again. Samsritihi is samsara. Samsara is punarjanma. Janma, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam in Bhajagovindam, Shankaracharya says. So that repeated birth and death cycle is also called samsara. And once you have realized all this through that Puta Bodha Janyam, then no more birth. In fact, that no more birth should be understood in the appropriate way, that even now I am not actually going through a Janma, because I am not the body, because the Janma is only for the body. So there also one has to apply the logic properly. The Janma is only for the body. I am not the body, so I really don't have Janma. So that Punarna Samsritihi doesn't mean that you will avoid a next Janma. You will have to forego even the current Janma. That is the level of Jnanam and Viveka that one should develop. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Because
Yes.
in the Vedanta we apply logic like a surgical scalpel. No, what is the difference between a knife and a scalpel? Both are knives. Okay, a knife is something that you use to cut vegetables and other things, but a scalpel is much sharper, and it is used by the surgeon to operate on very minute tissues and minute nerves. When a surgeon uses a scalpel, he has to make sure that he only cuts the flesh and not the nerve, because if the nerves get cut, then the person can get paralyzed. So the scalpel is a lot more accurate and pinpointed. So the way we apply logic in Vedanta is also like the surgeon using the scalpel. What we say is, anything that has a beginning will have an end. That is the rule. Okay, there is one rule in logic. Anything that has a beginning will have an end. And in Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu. There is a shloka, I think in second chapter.
Yes.
Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu, dhruvam janma mritasya cha. So if somebody is born, he will die. And if somebody dies, he will be born again. So that means anything that has a beginning will have an end. So if I tell you that you become liberated after you gain knowledge, what that would mean is your mukti has a beginning. You follow me?
Yes.
In the
Yes.
Advaita Vedanta, we say Jnanadeva Kaivalyam. That means knowledge leads to liberation. Then one can say, okay, until you acquired your knowledge, you did not have mukti, you did not have liberation. You acquired jnanam, then you became liberated. So at that point, your liberation began. So that liberation will end at some point. That will become the logic. But there is another definition, that liberation is endless. Liberation is eternal. That is also a rule. Okay, now there is a conflict. Is there a conflict or not?
I see there is no conflict, but I'm surprised why you say that there is a conflict, sir.
No. If you literally apply the two rules,
Okay.
Jnanadeva Kaivalyam, you acquire knowledge and knowledge leads to liberation. So liberation has a beginning, but anything that has a beginning will end. So your liberation should end. That is case number
So,
one.
okay.
That is
I'll
case
put,
number one. Case number two, by definition, liberation is eternal. It has no end. How do you reconcile the two statements?
that's because you are at a point where there is no start, where you can't identify a start and an end. That is liberation.
No.
Because you are already liberated, you just don't know it.
Exactly. So the fact is, you were always liberated, but you were not aware of it.
Aware of it.
And
Okay.
the jnanam did not give you liberation. The jnanam only removed your ignorance that you were liberated all the time.
Yes.
Okay.
You please digest that.
Yes.
Right, sir. That's hard
Please
to
digest that.
Right.
Yes.
So jnanam does not give you mukti. Jnanadeva Kaivalyam should be interpreted in the correct way. That is why I said we apply the logic like this scalpel of a surgeon. You have to be very careful where that logic cuts and
So it
what
removes
it does not cut.
It just removes the veil. Okay.
Correct. Okay. So jnanam does not give you liberation, because if jnanam gives you liberation, then your liberation begins at that point and then it will come to an end sometime later. So in order for that rule to be negated, you have to say that you were always liberated, but you were not aware of your liberated status, and jnanam removed that ignorance, and then now you know that you were always liberated.
Right. Because it all started with ignorance. Right, sir.
Correct. You know, in the Shastra, we say 6 things are without a beginning. There are 6 entities which have no beginning. And there is a shloka for that. Let me search for that shloka. Okay.
Kalam Niyati. Right, sir.
What? Kalam?
Kalam, Niyati, Purusha. That 6 things, sir. Maya, Kalam, Niyati, Purusha.
I'll read the shloka. Maybe you have a Tamil version which I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. So 6 anadis, what are they? Jiva Isho Vishuddha Chit Tatha Jiveshayor Bhida Avidya Tat Chitor Yogaha Shadasmakam Anadaya. Okay, so 6. What are the 6? Jivaha. The first one is Jiva. Jivatma. Jivatma is beginningless. Ishaha. Ishvara. Ishvara is also beginningless. Then Vishuddha Chit. That Vishuddha Chit is a Chaitanyam. Chaitanyam. Nirgunam Brahma. That is Vishuddha Chit. Then Jiva Ishayor Bhida. The difference between Jiva and Ishvara. That is also beginningless. Then Avidya. Avidya is ignorance. And in a larger context, it is Maya. Maya Shakti. And then finally, Tat Chitor Yoga. Tat Chitor Yoga means the interaction between Maya and Chaitanyam, or Maya and Nirgunam Brahma. See, that interaction between Maya and Nirgunam Brahma is what we experience as Kala Tattvam.
Okay, sir.
That interaction between Maya and Nirguna Chaitanyam is, in other words, called Kala Tattvam, experience of time. All these 6 are beginningless.
So there was one more thing, the interaction between Jiva and Parabrahma. Am I right, sir?
There
In
is
that
no
shloka.
Jiva interaction. It is difference. The difference between
Ah.
Jiva and Ishvara. So see, in Advaita, we are very clear that Ishvara and Brahma Chaitanyam are not exactly the same. Because Brahma Chaitanyam is Nirgunam, whereas Ishvara is Sagunam. So it is the reflection of the Nirguna Chaitanyam in the cosmic Maya. That is Ishvara.
Okay, sir.
Maya Sahita Brahman is Saguna Brahman, that is Ishvara. And Maya Sahita, the difference between Ishvara and Jiva is Ishvara is reflected in the cosmic Maya, whereas Jiva is a reflection in the small individual Karana Shariram.
Got you, sir. Got you. Thank you, sir.
So these 6 entities are beginningless. Okay, anyway, so the context was it has to be understood that we were always liberated, but we were only not aware of the fact. That is the message.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so that Punarna Samsriti should be understood that we will no longer consider ourselves to be born. That is the correct interpretation. Anyway, you have 1 week to think about it. Can we close here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Sarvesham Swastirбhavatu Sarvesham Shantirbhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarvepi Sukhinas Santu Sarve Santu Niramayaah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkhabhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'll request all of you to stay for a minute. Please, can you stop the recording?
Yes, just give me a second.